Hey, After Arts here. I'd like to talk about the main reason why I'm so interested in the Vallow Chad Daybell case. I'm not really a true crime person, although there is something perversely fascinating about the situation, and I am interested in malignant narcissism, and Lori Vallow certainly seems to embody a lot of the negative traits that I do like to expose here on my channel. Every year there are horrible, diabolical crimes committed, but the Vallow Daybell situation has a little something extra, and it furthers a narrative promulgated by the contingents who are rioting and sowing discord in our society today. The Vallow Daybell case accomplishes two things. First, it makes religious people look bad, and it also makes families look bad. And these chaos sowing contingents would love to do away with traditional religion and have the state be God. And making religious people look bad certainly helps further their narrative. Also, it makes families look bad. And this contingent would love to do away with the traditional family unit as we know it. These have been their aims for quite some time, and I will read you the 45 goals of communism as read into the congressional record in 1963, and we will see how many of these goals have already been accomplished. And I don't know if any other commentators have brought up these points or even thought of these points, but this is the way my mind works, so I'm just throwing it out there. Everyone needs to reach their own conclusions. But this could provide a context to help explain why this case is so freaking bizarre. If you'd like to support me on Patreon, I'd be delighted to have you. Your support will help keep the content fresh and always evolving. Thanks again for your support. After Arts out. The 45 Communist Goals as read into the Congressional Record, 1963. Congressional Record, Appendix PP A34 through A35. January 10th, 1963. Current Communist Goals. Extension of remarks of the Honorable A.S. Herlong, Jr. of Florida in the House of Representatives. Thursday, January 10th, 1963. Mr. Herlong. Mr. Speaker, Mrs. Patricia Nordman of DeLand, Florida, is an ardent and articulate opponent of communism, and until recently published the DeLand Courier, which he dedicated the purpose of alerting the public to the dangers of communism in America. At Mrs. Nordman's request, I include in the record, under unanimous consent, the following current communist goals, which she identifies as an excerpt from The Naked Communist by Cleon Skousen. Current communist goals. 1. U.S. acceptance of coexistence as the only alternative to atomic war. 2. U.S. willingness to capitulate in preference to engaging in atomic war. 3. Develop the illusion that total disarmament by the United States would be a demonstration of moral strength. 4. Permit free trade between all nations regardless of communist affiliation and regardless of whether or not items could be used for war. 5. Extension of long-term loans to Russia and Soviet satellites. 6. provide American aid to all nations, regardless of communist domination. 7. Grant recognition of Red China, admission of Red China to the United Nations. Nixon accomplished that. 8. Set up East and West Germany as separate states in spite of Khrushchev's promise in 1955 to settle the German question by free elections under supervision of the United Nations. 9. Prolong the conferences to ban atomic tests because the United States has agreed to suspend tests as long as negotiations are in progress. 10. Allow all Soviet satellites individual representation in the United Nations. 11. Promote the United Nations as the only hope for mankind. If its charter is rewritten, demand that it be set up as a one-world government with its own independent armed forces. It does have its own independent armed forces. Some communist leaders believe the world can be taken over as easily by the United Nations as by Moscow. Sometimes these two centers compete with each other, as they are now doing in the Congo. 12. Resist any attempt to outlaw the Communist Party. 13. Do away with all loyalty oaths. 14. Continue giving Russia access to the United States Patent Office. 15. Capture one or both of the political parties in the United States. Well, that one speaks for itself. 16. Use technical decisions of the courts to weaken basic American institutions by claiming their activities violate civil rights. Well, that's been happening. Listen to this one. 17. Get control of the schools. Use them as transmission belts for socialism and current communist propaganda. Soften the curriculum. 18. Gain control of all student newspapers. Listen to this one. 19. Use student riots to foment public protests against programs or organizations which are under communist attack. 20. Infiltrate the press. Get control of book review assignments, editorial writing, policy-making positions. Listen to this one. 21. Gain control of key positions in radio, TV, and motion pictures. 22. Continue discrediting American culture by degrading all forms of artistic expression. An American communist cell was told to eliminate all good sculpture from parks and buildings, substitute shapeless, awkward, and meaningless forms. 23. Control art critics and directors of art museums. Our plan is to promote ugliness, repulsive, meaningless art. Listen to this one. 24. Eliminate all laws governing obscenity by calling them censorship and violation of free speech and free press. Well, that would explain cuties. 25. Break down cultural standards of morality by promoting pornography and obscenity in books, magazines, motion pictures, radio, and TV. 26. Present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. 27. This is what I was highlighting. Infiltrate the churches and replace revealed religion with social religion. Discredit the Bible and emphasize the need for intellectual maturity, which does not need a religious crutch. 28. Eliminate prayer or any phrase of religious expression in the schools on the ground that it violates the principle of separation of church and state. Well, that happened when I was a kid. 29. Discredit the American Constitution by calling it inadequate, old-fashioned, and out of step with modern needs, a hindrance to cooperation between nations on a worldwide basis. Number 30. Discredit the American Founding Fathers, present them as selfish aristocrats who had no concern for the common man. I guess that was before racist was the answer for everything. 31. Belittle all forms of American culture and discourage the teaching of American history on the ground that it was only a minor part of the big picture. Give more emphasis to Russian history since the communists took over. 32. Support any socialist movement to give centralized control over any part of the culture, education, social agencies, welfare programs, mental health clinics, etc. 33. Eliminate all laws or procedures which interfere with the operation of the communist apparatus. 34. Eliminate the House Committee on Un-American Activities. Oh, check out this one. 35. Discredit and eventually dismantle the FBI. 36. Infiltrate and gain control of more unions. 37. Infiltrate and gain control of big business. Oh, look at this one. Number 38. Transfer some of the powers of arrest from the police to social agencies. Treat all behavioral problems as psychiatric disorders, which no one but psychiatrists can understand or treat. 39. Dominate the psychiatric profession and use mental health laws as a means of gaining coercive control over those who oppose communist goals. Okay, look at this one. This is one that I highlighted. Number 40. Discredit the family as an institution. Encourage promiscuity and easy divorce. 41. Emphasize the need to raise children away from the negative influence of parents. Attribute prejudices, mental blocks, and retarding of children to suppressive influence of parents. Number 42. Create the impression that violence and insurrection are legitimate aspects of the American tradition, that students and special interest groups should rise up and use united force to solve economic, political, or social problems. 43. Overthrow all colonial governments before native populations are ready for self-government. 44. Internationalize the Panama Canal. Jimmy Carter accomplished that. 45. Repeal the Connolly Reservation so the United States cannot prevent the World Court. All right, that was the 45 goals of communism. It was very interesting. Anyway, thank you for listening. Please like, please share. Please subscribe. Everyone take care. This is After Arts out.